Dear students, I'm Professor Kurban Badruddin Sharmanov. I'm professor at the English department of the Bukhara State Medical University, named after Abu Ali ibn Sina. Today, I'm about to deliver a presentation dealt with the very interesting period in the history of the world civilization, that is Renaissance. Renaissance in Europe and Renaissance in Central Asia. First of all, I want to distinguish between these notions, two Renaissance. What's the meaning of the word Renaissance? The word Renaissance comes from the French and it means rebirth, that is making new. Why was it so? The fact is that in Europe, starting from the 14th century, we know the great historical period named Renaissance or Revival. It started in Italy, and it was the following thing. First of all, during the Middle Ages, Christianity values were taught in a specific way, and it happened so that the teachings of great philosophers and thinkers like Aristotle, Plato, and the like, and the achievements of Greek antiquity should be renewed. So far, all this knowledge was looked through a new prism. That's why it was called Renaissance. That's the first point. The second point is that we know the Renaissance in Central Asia also. What I mean, if in Europe we have only one Renaissance, starting from the 14th century up to the end of the 16th century, delivering between, let us say, European Renaissance in Italy, in Spain, in France, and especially the Northern Renaissance in England, and between the Central Asian Renaissance. In Central Asia, there were two Renaissances. That is, the first Renaissance, the ages between the 9th and 12th ages, dealt with the names of world-known, our great ancestors, thinkers, philosophers, medical workers, that is Abu Ali ibn Sina, Al-Farabi, Al-Kharazmi, Al-Biruni, Al-Zamakhshari, and the others. They made a great contribution to the world civilization. So far, my presentation is called Perception of the Values of Central Asian Philosophical Heritage of the 9th and 12th centuries by the medieval and Renaissance youth. Why we called it so? We know 2 points of view at present, or let us say in nowadays science, like Europe-centric and Asia-centric viewpoints on the world civilization and the development of knowledge in general. Starting from the 16th century, we know a new trend in Europe which was called Natur Philosophia, that is natural philosophy, dealt with the names of Nicholas Copernicus and Giordano Bruno, Galileo Galilei, and the like. They reopened a new world, and they showed us that if once upon a time we knew the Ptolemaic point of view, the Earth was the center of the universe, and all the other planets were around the Earth only. And starting from the 16th century, the new scientists of new epoch showed that the Sun was the only planet, and around it all the other planets were around, and including the Earth. So far, we know that the European Renaissance started in the 14th century. So, what we can say about this period? We know, dear student, that the world at any stage of its development should be viewed not only isolation, but only in unity and in integrity, in connections and common moments, in universal movement with its interest, contradictions, opposing forces, and the like. In connections and communication between parts and stages of the development of the world, the problem of continuity in time and space is of paramount importance. From this point of view, we see that the line of continuity of the Muslim Renaissance, maybe you don't know the notion Muslim Renaissance. Why we call it Muslim Renaissance, but not only the Renaissance? The fact is that the Muslim thinkers in Central Asia, like Mawlana Nahr of 9th and 12th century, started this teaching. So far, it was called as the Muslim Renaissance. And by the way, it is known in the history as the first Muslim or Central Asian Renaissance. We have the second Central Asian Renaissance, dealt with the 14th and 15th centuries, and mainly dealt with the names of Ulugh Bek, Mirza Babur, Alisher Navayi, and of course the great commander Amir Timur. And now, as you know, our president, Shavkat Miramonovich Mirziyoyev, urged us to start the third Renaissance in Uzbekistan. What does it mean? It means that our country should enter into common world, not only as the state known as Uzbekistan, but newly developed with a new level of all the achievements in all spheres of life and technology. And this should be known as the third Renaissance. Who are the start-ups of this Renaissance? Surely today's students like you, and the tomorrow specialists as well like you, who should build up a new construction of a new Uzbekistan, which will be in one level with all the modern countries like the United States, like Great Britain, like France, Germany, Netherlands, United Arab Republics, and the like. So, it also unequivocally proves that if the dependence of the English philosophy, today we may speak about English philosophy because the very countries, I mean Great Britons, or let us say the English philosophers, they were the great innovators in the sphere of science and technology as well, who made a great contribution to the development of modern society, like Roger Bacon, Francis Bacon, Thomas More, and surely William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and the like. Here you see the great thinkers of East. This is a miniature of the 16th century showing the great philosopher and his pupils just talking. I'm showing this picture because of the fact that there was a trend like Eastern peripatetics. What does it mean? In antiquity, Aristotle and Plato, with his pupils, discussed many problems of the universe, including philosophy and knowledge and medicine, just passing and working here and there, talking together along the road or in the garden or in the street. So far, they were called peripatetics, and Eastern peripatetics also made the same thing, but not in the Great Antiquity, but in Central Asia of 9th and 12th centuries. So the study of the treatises of Arab philosophers by Europeans was an obligatory point. I can state one thing. For example, in the 15th century, the first departments, I mean the medical departments, appeared in all the European universities like Sorbonne in France, Cambridge, Oxford in Britain, Padua, Genoa in Italy. Why it happened so? All this happened because of the one fact, because of great achievement and the contribution made by our great ancestor, whose name was Abu Ali ibn Sina. His book of Ash-Shifa, or the Canon of Medicine, made a great revolution in the world civilization and in all the minds of modern philosophers, modern technologists, and the like. So far, in Europe of the Renaissance period, it was obligatory, I mean the medical departments, to know the Arabic language. A person who knew an Arabic language, he could enter the department which was called medical department. And many of the students knew the Arabic language and the Arabic literature as well. That's very interesting fact. And many scientists from all the Europe came to Spain of the period of the 13th and 15th centuries, especially to Granada and Andalusia, where the third and the last caliphate was proclaimed, to buy books of our great ancestors in their Latin version, translated by the Jewish translators into different languages and especially into the Latin in order to acquaint the European popularity or population, European population, with the knowledge of Central Asian thinkers. So far, we know that the property of the scientific thought and works of many scientists, like great philosophers of Mavranakhar, Muhammad Musa Khwarizmi, Abu Nasr Farabi, Ahmad Farghani, Abu Rayhan Biruni, Abu Ali ibn Sina, and the like, became the great contribution of Europe. In European states, about 1,000 translators worked on the translations of the works of these scientists, before whom the problem of translating the works from Greek, Syrian, Sanskrit, and Farsi into Arabic and familiarizing them thereby the scientific community was highlighted. Among the scholars who served in the Caliphate and translated into Arabic from Greek, Syrian, and Farsi, and Hindi as well, were Hunayn ibn Ishaq, Ishaq ibn Hunayn, Hubayr Sabit ibn Qurra, Hunayn ibn Yahya, Ishaq al-Dimishki, the Masajwars family, a great family, Nawbat, al-Mukaffa, and the like. So, if we say in general, referring to the cultural ties between the Arab East and the West Europe, for example, great thinker of the 18th century, French thinker and scientist Condorcet, he wrote the citation: "The works of the Arabs would have been perished for the human race if they had not sought to prepare a more lasting revival, the picture which the West will present to us." and that the Arabs spread in the West the embryos of humanism, which should have been given fruits in happier times. These fruits of Muslim culture, Muslim philosophy, humanism, were prepared by such centers of Hellenic cultures which were subordinate to the Caliphate, such as Alexandria, Ephesus, Nasibin, Seleucia, Antiochia, Jundishapur, and Bactria in Central Asia. The achievements of the philosophical thought of the Muslim East also became the property of the West in general. They were perceived, developed further, and raised to a new and upper and higher level. In this case, a significant role was played by the universities of Château and Paris in France, educational centers and cities of Bologna, Padua, Genoa in Italy, and especially the University of Oxford and its outstanding and prominent thinker and dean, Roger Bacon, who put Al-Kindi on a par with Ptolemy, on one level with Ptolemy, highly respected the teachings of Avicenna, whose philosophical works were his desk books. Here you see one more picture of European scientists. So, making a general conclusion, we may say that the works of scholars of the Muslim East had a fruitful influence on the creativity and worldview of such brightest representatives of European philosophical thought as Siger from Brabant, Adeliat from Bath, John of Salisbury, Claremont, Amalric from Bern. First of all this influence came from the three great philosophers of that time. Farabi, Ibn Sina, and Ibn Rushd. This study was carried out everywhere, in schools, churches, universities. For the intelligentsia of the advanced European countries of the 11th and the 16th centuries, it was considered mandatory to know obligatory to know the Arabic language, at least a general acquaintance with the culture, literature, science, and technology of the East. And the function of universities, especially their medical faculties, without knowledge of Arabic-speaking science and the Arabic language, was practically inaccessible. It was made like a rule for everybody. The Europeans really actively studied the Arab-speaking thinkers both in Middle Ages and in the Renaissance, especially during the whole 16th and the first half of the 17th century as well. It was during these periods that the Arab-speaking philosophy fulfilled, so to speak, its historical mission. In order not to be unfounded, we present the opinion of the leading specialist in this sphere, Gorfunkel, Professor Gorfunkel. So, citation: since the inception of philosophical schools, otherwise free thinking dominated there, formed under the influence of medieval Eastern thought and naturalistic interpretations of Aristotle. So, in general, I want to say that this period was a very interesting period which made a great contribution. So we may be proud of our great ancestors like Abu Ali ibn Sina, known in Europe as Avicenna, his contribution and his greatness. And you should be proud of the fact that you are the followers of this great Abu Ali ibn Sina. Thank you.